Hi everyone, this is Muhammad Hamid Khan, and today I'm back with another exciting podcast on semantic SEO. And this is gonna be a very lengthy conversation on semantic SEO that probably you will not find anywhere else. And we're gonna cover some concepts from semantic SEO course launched by Koray. Probably I'm not maybe pronouncing the name right way, so sorry for that. But this conversation gonna be about topical authority course and mainly the framework introduced by Core, and we're gonna discuss our practical experience. Or means I have a person with me, very famous person on semantic SEO, and he's a good guy, skillful at semantic SEO, and his name is Germans Frols. So he has joined me today, and we're gonna discuss some conversation, share our personal experience with topical authority and creating, for example, building topical maps, writing briefs, and even overall training, and how we are learning and approaching semantic SEO, and how you should make your journey more, for example, smooth by watching this podcast. So before moving forward, I would love to hand over to Garmans to introduce himself. Yaman, over to you. Explain yourself on your own words, what you do, and basically how you started semantic SEO. What was the main reason, and before that, what did you do, and how it is going so far?
Of course. First of all, very happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me to this podcast, Hamid. And yeah, my name is Germans Fellows. I'm not from Germany. I'm actually from Latvia, and currently living and working in Denmark. Um, my SEO experience actually started back in the end of 2019, before the COVID pandemic, and I started at an SEO kind of like internship which lasted about 6 months. It was a part of my study program here in Denmark. After that, I did different study jobs where I was like a digital marketing consultant, digital marketing assistant, and so on. And currently, I am working as a digital marketing manager with a deep, deep, deep passion for SEO also. And yeah, besides the daily kind of like 9 to 5 job, I'm working on my personal SEO projects. I'm doing a little bit of client, kind of like freelance work that is around also SEO projects. And in Copenhagen, I'm also kind of like involved in organizing SEO meetups. So that's shortly about me. And with regards to semantics, I first of all heard about semantic SEO after the infamous podcast where Koray was talking with Matt Diggity, sure as most of the audience. And after that podcast, I read the on-crawl case study for the first time, and that really intrigued me, especially the aspect that Koray kind of like showed that it is possible to build huge traffic to the website without overly relying on backlinks, right? And then I started to read the advanced version of that case study, and I failed 3 times. I could not read it to the end because it was too complex. But in hindsight, I knew, of course, that I need to learn more about this. I think this is the future of SEO. And yeah, then, of course, I was very happy to jump on the course and get it within the first in 10 or 15 minutes. Went through it multiple times and started implementing also at the current day job and also in other projects, starting from microsemantics. I'm yet to publish my own case study, but we can talk about it a bit later. But of course, once it is live, I'm going to be happy to share all about that.
Nice. First of all, I loved your shift. I mean, you started with a digital marketing, and now you are specializing in specifically SEO because you are passionate about SEO and something. Why, by the way, why SEO? Why not social media? Why not email marketing? Why not PPC? Why only SEO?
It's not only SEO, it's mostly SEO, I would say that.
Okay, okay.
And the reason why it's because the nature of the channel really is what attracts me. Like the fact that you can build something from nothing and you don't have to pay for it, and you accumulate kind of like the long-term value of that channel, and you unlock the value as you go.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like investing, right? I'm also I also love investing into stock market, and this is very similar to it. And I'm a long-term investor type. That's why also maybe SEO attracts me. But I would say that those are the answers to your question.
Nice,
What do you,
nice.
what about you? What is it that why do you like SEO compared to other channels?
Man, I was like, I got a job by luck, and that was about SEO back in 2015. I even didn't know, okay, what stuff I have to do, what type of website I have to manage. Even I just did know about how to turn on the computer, and that was it. They trained me everything, and so basically, uh, it like started, and then I've seen the culture of SEO like since I'm watching it from 2000 that time, and people was like people were still following. I mean, the old, even I had to like say, okay, you need to create 200 blog comments, you had to do X number of directory submission, you have to do 50 profile backlinks, and then the client gonna happy and he will be ranked, his website's gonna rank. And I was like, okay, this is just about the numbers. I mean, if you're gonna create more links, you're gonna rank. And still, after the client was not happy and they left the agency, and I thought something is not right here. Even maybe I'm not following the manager's guideline, or maybe they are not doing the right work. So I started exploring. Okay, what is else that I am not aware of, and what other people working and getting results. And probably I was reading Branding. Probably I was reading at that time. Branding was a good guy at the time for the beginner level and advanced as well. Not I'm saying he's by the way good, more good for beginners. So it started from that point of view, and I got many local courses, and everything I did free, and couple of courses very helped me. For example, blogging for business by Tim Solo, and some HubSpot Academy courses, some SEMrush courses, and lot of YouTube free knowledge. And Mad Digity Affiliate Lab also did help me as well. So, but it's like 7 or 8 years. I mean, I involved in traditional SEO, like, but I was like reading semantic SEO even before the core course, but not that much. Like I was reading about entity-based SEO, entity-based search, Bill Slasky's couple of Bill Slasky blogs I've read hardly, and some SCJ blogs. Obviously, SCJ blogs are not very uh, talking about that kind of SEO, semantic SEO that we normally follow or do in practical. But after the course, I took that course. I mean, within a month. I mean, the whole course, because I was like very at that time I was very, you can say, crazy about the knowledge, because I was
Mhm.
following his free knowledge, the case studies he wrote. So okay, the course did help me, and it's like a long journey. I started to create systems, started to create my own SOPs, train my teams, and testing and improving the system over and over again, and bringing combination together through multiple sources, like his case studies, like his YouTube videos, course materials, the notes I've written, and I've started combining data. And once I thought, okay, now I have something good, then I started sharing on with my peers, with my audience, and that's the journey so far for me.
This is great. But yeah, I really admire your like thinking of like, okay, I have the knowledge how to systematize it, how to make a process out of it, and let's test, let's improve, let's iterate. This is a great skill. This is a great approach, I think, to semantic SEO or to any really channel. Um,
Yeah, nice.
and I'm learning a lot from you as well. I will be completely honest. Many things I'm learning from your perspective, seeing things, and yeah, it's great that what we have in the community, this just sharing of information and up like leveling up each other, basically.
Yeah, leveling up each other. Very nice phrase you used here. Okay, great. So, ma'am, what do you think about like topical authority? I mean, what topical authority is, and how semantic SEO helps building topical authority? Can you like share your experience with it so far?
I can always go back to the definition of Koray, right? It's a ranking state that is achieved by blah blah blah. Um,
Okay.
and I do believe it. I think it's a very well good way to put it up. It's a ranking state that is achieved after being outranking a specific competitor for a set period of time by providing more accurate, more responsive answers, and
Hmm.
historical data times topical coverage, right? The formula. I think that's basically what it is. You have to cover more and have the historical data behind it to back it up. So Yeah, I'm very much follow the Koray's definition. I think that is how I also understand it better compared to how many, let's say, traditional SEOs just say that it is covering topics within your niche. That's it. But I think there's more to it, and the elements that also Koray introduces within his definition. I'm more inclined to follow that.
Mhm. And by the way, there's a disclaimer that I forgot to give in the start. This conversation is totally unplanned. We just decided, okay, we now need to discuss something and together. So I thought, what about if we record and upload it on the channel as well, so people learn from our experience as well. This is totally unplanned. We didn't exchange or question answer with each other before, or everything is gonna be very unplanned and just based on, you can say, ad hoc base. We're gonna discuss everything. So I think this is the real, you can say, this is the real crux. I mean, the benefit real gonna people get out of it. Not just very typical stuff, common things. We're gonna discuss maybe everything that comes in our mind. So topical authority. Okay, we have now set up the base. You mentioned topical authority is basically multiplied with, topical coverage multiplied with historical data to get the ranking state of topical authority, which means topical coverage covering all possible or maximum possible attributes related with your source context in a very prioritization manner, filtered by attribute prominence, irrelevancy, and you can say, for example, popularity, prominence. And you cover a subject by connecting multiple entities with each other, their context and connecting terms, for example. And once you got the topical coverage, it's not always enough. Like, you cover everything, but now you are not getting the historical data. For example, historical data is very required to justify or validate your topical coverage. So you said topical historical data just need to validate your topical coverage. So other, if historical data, for example, Google is not, I mean, you can say, for example, following, which means everyone could start like a website and have like thousand of pages on a specific attributes or context, and you're going to rank better. But again, quality matters here, and quality comes in the form of historical data. So this is, I guess, topical. And by the way, um, how to
We
measure topical
forgot to
authority?
mention lower cost of retrieval.
Cost of retrieval. Yeah, exactly. I mean, let me give you the complete definition now.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I guess topical authority is basically, you can say, by decreasing the cost of the machine and decreasing the risk of, for example, inaccurate and irrelevant information, by providing more meaningful, structured, and well organized content network, by organizing and entities, attributes, contexts with each other within a specific subject, and in with some momentum. Right, momentum is very necessary. People forget that momentum, they don't know what momentum has to do with it. For example, they start publish like 2 pages a day and then 3 pages. I mean, they need to publish a chunk of pages in the start. I mean, like 20-30 pages to get
Make a
some attention
difference.
from the machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, momentum is very necessary to get some topical authority state. So I think this is the complete definition of topical authority. But how to measure it? What do you say?
How to measure it? I would say this is a tough question, but I'm more of a proponent of like a more classical way of measuring it. Let's say you have your topical map outline, and then you actually then check what is your traffic share for those set of topics. You can use many tools to see the traffic share for those topics. So that would be one very practical way of measuring it, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm not sure whether that would be the right approach. What do you think?
Mhm. So technically, you can say, mathematically, you can say topical coverage X historical data equal to topical authority. So in simply, I've like read many times even Corey's slide as well. For example, if website has like 999 pages on Apple and one page on, for example, Orange. For example, on one page of Orange, they're getting like, for example, 1,000 clicks traffic, and on 999 pages of Apple, they're just getting 50 clicks, for example, which means historical data is more on one page of Orange, which means that website is topical authority on Orange instead of Apple. So topical coverage is not always necessary, but historical data is something that defines what topic website is topical authority on. But in a very easy to understand way, I can say that basically traffic share, you may be familiar with the concept of traffic share, or simply market share. like who's getting more market share, for example. Similarly, Kevin Inding, a guy who's like a SaaS SEO guy who worked with like Shopify, G2, and many big brands as well, for example, he gives some way. For example, you can apply the same market share concept into measuring topic authority, like topic share. Which website is getting most of the topic share in terms of traffic is is the topical authority. For example, a website on, for example, airports, right, is, for example, this is the topic on airports, and they have like thousands of websites competing on the topic airport. And website A, for example, has like 30% of the traffic share on different queries of airport, which means 30% traffic, which is more than anyone else, is the topical authority on airports. This is what I think, and maybe the simplest way to measure topical authority.
Yeah, in Ahrefs, I think they have a couple of reports like that that you can just
Yeah,
measure it
yeah,
like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
exactly. Cool, cool. So let's move forward. You mentioned topical authority. Basically, topical authority, if we clear for the audience, topical authority is the objective that we have to achieve, right?
Hmm.
And how much time actually it gets uh, to achieve the topical authority state on average?
Ooh. Hard to say, right? It's we have seen many case studies that Koray published where a brand new
Hmm.
domain can, uh, let's say, give signs of becoming a topical authority within, let's say, 4 to 5 months of initial launch. I think Strike Money is a very good recent example. Now
Hmm.
getting more than 100,000 visitors a month. Uh, so yeah, but it is so much dependent on the previous ranking states, on many other things. It's the good old "it depends" would be the answer. Uh, but yeah, I think the most important thing is really to kind of like having an understanding of how search engines work, how the algorithms work, what are the ranking states, and then really just sticking with your methodology, and not expecting traffic bonus within 2 months of publishing a topic on that. Because that's not
Hmm.
always the case. Sometimes it requires multiple core updates to see the results.
Yeah. Basically, you're saying that topical authority for an existing site which has some historical data already stored in GSC or any other analytics tools get topical authority state even better, or maybe even more time if the already existing historical data is negative, for example. Because
It
every website on Google in vertical index has some kind of topical authority if it's already live. For example, it could be negative ranking state, it could be positive ranking state, or it could be, you can say, flat as well. I think flat is not, I mean, a very rare thing. I didn't see anything happen like that, like a flat thing goes. Maybe it would be maybe up or down. So by the way, you said that a website who's already live has some kind of positive or negative ranking state of topical authority, and the next topical authority state, which is the goal, it depends on the previous data. So okay, this is now subjective, but for a new site, okay, for a new website who's like, for example, working in, if I give you the topic like protein powder, and a website needs to rank on, for example, target phrase best protein powder, obviously it has to cover protein powder attribute, or maybe go a bit up level, protein like protein types, protein benefits, then maybe use powder as an attribute, probably, if I'm not wrong. So for a new site, I mean, what I think, maybe you can share your experience as well. For a new site, like 1 year is at least required to get the topical authority state. In terms of, if we add the outputs, the efforts that we have to make, for example, the uh, time we need to publish the content network. First, we have to publish a content network, right? Like 3 months, 4 months, if the team is already expertise specialized in the methodologies, for example, they at
mm,
least need three months to publish around 30 pages. Like start with the topical map, 15 days gonna be on topical map, and then if they're like 200 topics minimum, they have to write, for example, at least 50 pages in the start, maybe. And for 50 pages, 50 briefs, yeah, they have to create first. So 50 briefs, if for 1 week they're gonna like create one brief and one article, So you can maybe say 50 weeks they're gonna take, right? And if they're for one person, if there are like four writers, you can multiply it. So at least 3 months are somehow very minimum required to create a semantic content network from scratch of just 50 pages. Make sense?
Hmm.
If there are like more writers, you can maybe achieve in like 1 month, but again, if you do it, definitely great, but we are talking about average scenarios. So
Yeah.
3 months are required to 50 to publish 50 pages based on semantic SEO methodologies. And then once the 50 pages are published, then it's up to Google. You now wait. First of all, you publish at that time when the previous update rolled out. You like you Google started like the new update. I mean, like the new update time started. For example, if just previous update rolled out yesterday or maybe last week, you're gonna start your publishing. You're gonna publish your content network at once after the previous update is rolled out. Then Google, and it totally depends, like for example 6 months is minimum required, or sometimes Google give core update after 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. So now it's totally up to Google, and you can maybe wait for at least 1 or 2 updates to get the topic authority state. So I guess 6 months to 8 months are minimum required, but 1 year is like you can say
Yeah.
average. And maybe if you have like a very big knowledge domain, like if you're competing with Healthline, definitely 2 to 3 years are maximum required, minimum required. But there could be a way to maybe get like small body website. Maybe Korea has like beaten Healthline on some of the phrases,
Hmm.
and on SERP. Uh, I think he has like some he has used some way, and he didn't like work on that for like 2 to 3 years. He just worked for like 6 months, 1 year, and he beaten Healthline, which means 1 year is necessary. But for big domains, it could add up more time.
Yes, makes sense, makes sense. And yeah, I think 1 year is a very reasonable kind of like timeline. What I meant is like more like from the initial launch of the first article going live, it could take 6 months to really see the benefits. Okay, are we moving to the right direction? But of course, there is a lot of pre-work that has to be done before that. But also, I think from like if you look at Svalbard example, I think it took about the 4 or 5 months to really see if traffic could pick up after. And funny thing, they only published like all these articles within 1 day, and then added some more in the next, I think, days or weeks, and that's basically it. After that day, it was already enough for them to outrank Healthline for specific query networks.
Yeah. Let me see on Href what happened with Svalbard.
What is the current situation?
Yeah. Okay. If I can share my screen. Uh, 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 okay. Smallbody.com. This is the organic search history, like all time. So, for example, and if I can see, I mean, the number of pages, I mean, top pages as well. Okay. So, it started with, for example, getting traffic in December 2021, 20 to 26 December. So, if I go to this date, for example, custom date 2021, maybe I can write here 20 December, which means here I would write 12, right? And here I would write 20 December 2021. So it had these pages at that time, if I'm not wrong. 10th May. Okay, oh shit, it didn't apply. uh, what was the reason, by the way? Custom date 12/20.
It
Do you know
is
what's the reason?
no. uh,
2 years ago, let's do it.
yeah.
May 2022. Okay.
Maybe you can. Maybe the
So,
plan doesn't allow to go back more than 2 years back. I think that was the issue.
so 2 years back, it was getting 18.4K traffic, and these were the pages, right?
You can
And
already see some of the There must be a quality node there as well. Benefits. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it was already live. Maybe we can just click on that page, see when exactly it was launched, and then we could trace back. So if you click on that water benefits page, I think then specifically analyze the traffic for that
This
page.
one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this one.
So when was it?
Okay, so 2022 April, it was getting around 2 traffic average, and on 2023, I mean after 1 year, it was
Mm,
getting 4,000 traffic on average,
yeah.
just one page.
But the
So
funny
yeah,
thing is that the whole network was published within 1 or 2 weeks, and that was it. And then after that, I think what the owner did was just change the page title year to the current year.
it was the case.
Yeah, yeah, and that was enough to get another spike in traffic.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, it's not showing me before because the site had no pages at that time. Maybe that could be the reason. So if I can maybe do it like one. Okay, let's stick to that. Anyway, so we can see here, by the way, it was like getting 88K traffic in September 2023, and after that time, so we can see like that it started getting traffic in
I think April 2022, that was when that project was launched. April
April
or
2022
yeah,
from here. Okay,
somewhere there. If you just
so
base it by the quality node when it was published or so.
yeah, yeah, and then April 2022, September 2023, almost one and a
Post,
half year,
yeah.
which means 1 year minimum it actually took to maybe get that ranking state, right? Okay.
The top level, yeah.
It's just like top level analysis. So 1 year, I guess, is the main, you can say, backbone. I mean, to get,
I would say so, yeah, yeah.
because
I don't
Google, yeah, yeah.
I don't have that much like data to back it up, but I think that would be a reasonable estimate to see like whether we are moving to the right direction or not,
Mm.
right?
Yeah. I think Google actually needs some time to make some decision. It's not like if you like get de-ranked on a specific phrase, it doesn't mean yesterday Google you did something wrong and now you got de-ranked. It probably, for example, Google watching you most of the time, Google watching you from like 2 months, 3 months, and after the validation that okay now this page doesn't need to deserve on top, then Google maybe. So Google always take more time to
Yeah,
decide,
yeah.
and
I
core
think
updates are always there for that.
we can quote Koray that your current ranking state is because of what you did 6 months ago, or
Yeah,
your state
exactly,
6 months ago. So
exactly,
also
exactly, exactly. That
there's
makes
a
sense.
lag.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start with some. Let's deep dive or get our hand dirty in with some
Topical
practical
maps,
discussion. Yeah.
of course.
Okay, so what is the like biggest component, or you can say biggest, you can say, okay, component is the fine word, is the right word to get topical authority state.
When it comes to components, I see three, right? Like topical map, you have your content
Yeah.
briefs, and then you have your algorithmic authorship writing rules. Those would be the practical components you would have to execute on.
So you said topical map, semantic brief, and what's other?
Just writing according to algorithmic authorship rules.
Okay, writing. Okay. So three parts we need to work. We need to maybe we can see how much time we get to discuss these three things. So which component out of these three, topical map, brief, and writing, is most difficult to execute according to the semantic essay framework?
I think there's the most confusion in regards to topical maps, right? Maybe because people did not still get to content briefs. Those are the ones struggling.
Most of the people are still like lost in topical maps, even not getting time to
Yeah,
write briefs and writing content. The
yeah, but
topical map is still top level thing that mostly people are confused with, or
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
would
That's
agree with you.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then probably those people will also be confused about other stuff. But I think the biggest issue is when it comes to starting is knowing whether your topical map is good enough to start.
Yeah.
So that would be it.
And by the way, topical map is like very important, because if you didn't plan everything in advance, or if you, for example, don't follow the actual methodology of semantic SEO framework or topical authority from Google's perspective, from linguistics, from machine lexical query semantics, if you do your brief 10 out of 10 in terms of quality, you're gonna not rank because you didn't focus. Because we can say, like, this is the beauty of semantic SEO, everything is connected with each
Yeah,
other. You have to make everything perfect, not perfect, maybe
not
better than
perfect.
your competitors, better
Yeah,
than your competitors, right? Because perfect is not something we can say. Nothing is, nothing can be perfect, right?
and what
It's
is perfect,
marketing.
right?
Yeah, what is perfect? Good question. So I think this is the beauty of semantic SEO, not just having good topical map in place, but everything you have to connect with each other back and forth, and think from an engineer point mindset as well, from business mindset as well, and then connect everything. And if not, if one thing goes wrong, then your whole cycle and thing gonna waste. Is that true?
I think it all starts from the topical map, right? And if that was inherently wrong, then, well, you might rank still for a node that you create if you have a perfect content brief, but overall, the website will not rank as you would wish to if you don't have the fundamental topical map, at least in some good order, functional, how Koray likes to say.
Okay. And when it comes to practical, how much time you think does it take, based on your experience, it takes to create a topical map?
Oof, depends on the size of the website. Like if we're talking 50 pages, 100 pages, like a couple days of focused work would be enough. 50 pages, I mean, could be a day of work. Also depends so much on how you understand the topic, right? If it's completely new subject for you, well, you'll have to read, do a lot of grammar before to understand all the ontology taxonomy behind the topic that you're trying to become a topical authority at, right? But yeah, I have one website where I shared the topical map with you, and that one is like almost 4,000 rows long, so
Topics.
4,000 pages
Yeah.
exactly. So I'm still improving it. I'm quite confident in the first 50 pages and uh, other 2,000, but what comes in between them, I still have a few areas where I need to kind of like optimize them, let's say. Uh, but yeah, on an average, let's say website, couple hundred pages, well, 1 week of deep work should be required.
For me, it's very low.
Very low.
Yeah, I need at least 1 month to create a topical map.
Like, how big would that be?
That could be around 500 pages.
Hmm. Yeah, but I mean that's quite similar in terms of like depending on the size of the topical map.
Maybe I'm telling based on the previous experience. I was like working on other things as well. So you can say if you were like working 8 hours a day, you can maybe finish it within 2 weeks. That's
Mhm.
manageable. But you can't work on topical map 8 hours a day. You can't.
You need to reflect. You need to do something else, right? So that your brain reflexes then.
You can't get in. You will not get the, again, the perfect sleep, or you, I mean, you will lost, I mean, the life, the your life gonna be maybe disturbed. So every time, so you have to make it, break it down into components, the topical map, into
Yeah.
parts. But one most important thing, I mean, I would love to discuss with you, and would love to take your opinion on this as well. Like people who were like working in the industry like 10 years, from 8 years, and once they like heard about topical authority and stuff like semantic SEO and stuff like topical map, they started to claim that okay, you guys are doing the same work, you're just doing everything in advance. This is the just only difference. These topical map things, these keyword, these everything has you have changed the name of the terminologies. Like uh, for keyword you say topic, for page you say document, for you can for
No,
and
no.
note
For
sometimes.
keyword, you use query. What are keywords?
Yeah. Okay. For keyword, you use query. For heading, you say contextual heading or heading
Vector?
vector. For contextual, for internal link, you say contextual bridge. Okay. For writing rules, you say algorithmic authorship rules. And for example, search intent, you say macro context, something like that,
Yeah.
and more things as well. So I mean, they don't even know because they didn't even get the complete, you can say, gi- didn't go through the complete journey of learning semantic SEO. And they say, this is everything that we were doing before and we were doing it happily. But you started telling the same things but with different name. Do you think this is true?
I mean, I can agree that there are many things that are similar to what also, let's say, Koray teaches under a slightly different name, like internal links, right, headings, and so on. Traditionally, people like call them in a very simple way, but let's say, yeah, they are slightly different in Koray's methodology, the naming, but I think the way, the detail for every single of this aspect is much deeper. It is much more advanced. Like take heading vectors, right? You have
Hmm.
the way you distribute them, the way you order them, the level you add to them to like increase responsiveness and contextual flow. And so I think it is more or less, or if you look at the high level, it is very similar to what has been kind of like taught, let's say 8 years ago, but it is a completely different level of depth and understanding of each of those elements. Also derived from search engine patterns and research papers. Those are also the names. Many of the names come from those papers. It's not like maybe some of them are like concepts that he came up with, but many of the names are actually from engineers. So,
Exactly. Getting most of the concepts are maybe derived from patents knowledge, like information retrieval, cost, and documents. That's why he said document to relate with the methodology of
yeah.
search engines. So I guess that's true, but importantly, when it comes to practical, not just with theory, I think things are opposite, totally opposite. These people who say that okay, you get to href, you get every, you just put your seed keyword, you get all the terms match phrases like okay, protein powder, like you get all the like best protein powder for x, best protein x protein powder versus y protein powder, best protein powder brands, you can say. So this saying that you're getting everything from href, I mean, and some other tools, I mean, they say, you say like this is query template, this is what, this is okay, that's fine, but why you're like completing these things? I mean, I would add here something very important, like first of all, you are in traditionalist, you're how you're working, you're following what top pages are already doing, and you are like just replicating them. You just replicating their content length, you just replicating how many phrases or keywords they have used, you're just replicating their headings probably. If they have, for example, if you get if you're gonna maybe, if they have used a specific keyword in their heading, you're gonna do the same or maybe do more than those pages. You just like following what is done already by the top pages around a specific, against a specific query network or topic. In semantic SEO, this is opposite, because in semantic SEO, you are reinventing the wheel. You are doing everything from scratch that no one could ever think about, and you're thinking from machine perspective first, then connecting everything to back to your source context and business model. And you just not follow the top 10 pages. There's hell of more resources that you go and you play around with your mind, you understand the behavior of query, and from that you do expansion. You think basically from machine perspective, and you do everything in the same way for each topic, for each seed phrase. For example, like query parsing, how Google parse queries, the representative concepts, how the study of queries is very important for semantic SEO guys, like query session logs, query processing, sequential queries, query paths, canonical queries, representative queries. If you learn these and put them into practical, then you understand that what semantic SEO means. It doesn't mean like you're just getting keywords from top and you just maximum utilizing them naturally where they make sense. It's not like that. So
Yeah,
this is a
maybe
good.
like
This is
one
just
or
one example.
yeah, yeah, I totally agree. And maybe one or two components that are from traditional are also similar to, let's say, semantic SEO for topical authority, kind of like framework way, like just taking the central entity, putting it in the HRs. But that's only one step. There are like 12, let's say, different methods of actually then that are involved in building your topical map, right? Like query semantics, lexical semantics, and many other concepts that you have to take into consideration, not just plugging the central entity in HRS matching report and taking all the all the keywords, right, and grouping them.
By the way, Raman, I'm shocked. I've seen some tools built by people who said, okay, just give your topic and you get all the topical map ready
Topical
based on
map in
Kore's
one
framework.
click. Yeah,
Yeah, what was that?
that was,
That was
I don't know, but
hilarious.
it's, I mean, you have to speak how this, I mean, this whole semantic SEO is trending like crazy now, and just people want to grab their piece of the pie, right? And that's just how it is whenever something is getting popular by the day.
And I've seen people, I've got to know some topical maps that delivered on Korea's framework. And someone shared with me, okay, okay, you build topical maps. I said, yes. How will you build? This is how I build. I answered. Then someone said, okay, but this person shared the example of topical map based on Korean framework. But this is the totally opposite. Okay, I've said, okay, I've opened the sheet. He shared with me by himself. I opened the sheet. He written category, parent topic, child topic, and the volume, and then just the grouping. I said, this is not a topical map. This is just
This is
list
a
of topics.
clustered keyword map. That's all it is.
There was no semantic components, and I mean, just parent child he mentioned, and
Yeah.
I was shocked. And he said, okay, he's charging me like $200, or someone like charged me $100. I think that's fine if your price is low, but I mean, at least so, I'm not saying that you stop building topical maps in that way. It's fine because this is how you think you should do it, but you don't say that Kore do Kore does like that.
Yeah,
You should
exactly.
not.
Don't do not attach it to Koray's name if you know it is
Yeah.
not according to his way of doing it. Um, yeah, but yeah, if you all already see that things like central entity, source context, central search intent are missing, it's a bit first flagged. It's probably not the real topical map.
Okay, so one important question, starting with the practical part, like topical map. We're gonna like starting from scratch, for example, for a niche like you tell which niche.
I'm actually making an example of a topical map now. Let's take social media management.
Social media management.
I think
Okay,
many
so
viewers are also going to
social
relate
media
to it.
management, and what's the source context?
A software company, software that offers this tool. I mean, company that
Tool or
offers this
service?
software tool. Yeah,
Social media management tool like Buffer, like
yeah,
Hootsuite.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay. So starting with the topical map, I mean, what would be the first step you would take for this?
First step is we just went through it. Identify the source context. Right?
Okay,
What is the
got
business
it.
doing?
Okay.
Next step, right? Central entity. What do you think? I think social media is going to be the central entity. Well, social media marketing, let's say.
Mhm. Okay,
And
source
after that,
context is
yeah,
okay. Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Then we'll have central search intent. So what do users landing on a website, what kind of basically main goal they want to achieve, and what kind of goal should be site-wide, that, or that intent, basically, site-wide intent. Um, yeah, let's. What could that be? Social media management in a more streamlined, efficient way, like manage, streamline, grow social media. Would that be central intent? What do you think?
I think it should be maybe incorporate some more top of the funnel search behaviors. For example, learn,
Yeah.
explore, compare, social media tools, softwares, platforms, something maybe combination of everything. But you can maybe if you're selling just tool or not service, you can maybe make it like learn plus buy or purchase plus social media tools. I can
Hmm.
just maybe,
Yeah.
but I think
One
if you make it, sorry.
Speaking of a debate, here it comes. I would say your this central search intent that you just presented, I think more would be towards comparison websites, whereas kind of like intent of okay learning, comparing, but also really knowing how to streamline this social media management, how to grow your social media also would be
Yeah,
some important things to take into consideration in building a topical map for that type of company.
that's good one by the way. Streamlining, growing. These could also be behaviors. So basically, in central search intent for people who are watching this for the first time, I mean, new to topic authority, central search intent is basically aimed on getting all the behaviors of the user from once from one touch point to the last touch point, from starting like sales funnel concept you maybe heard about, but this is not sales funnel. This is search journey. Search journey is different from sales funnel journey, you can say that. So all the behaviors we combine, we get all the behaviors and we combine them and associate with a specific outcome. Outcome is like social media tool or social media, for example, and we just get those behaviors only that are relevant with our source context. So I guess this is how central search engine should be formulated. So I guess you mentioned learn, explore, compare. Compare, is that correct? For tools, we can say compare, but if just social media is the outcome, we can say that learn, explore, or maybe
Streamline
streamline,
and grow.
grow,
Yeah, yeah,
social plus social media.
yeah. And then probably over time you would want to make it even shorter, more concise. And then
Hmm.
yeah, always as you build your topical map, go back to your source context and your central search intent. If in doubt, there's
And
always
you,
this question: how far do I have to go? Well, answer those two questions. Are you
hmm,
still aligned? Yes or no?
yeah. And you haven't still disclosed the central entity of this map. What would be
Social
that?
media, social media.
Social media. Social media central entity, source context, social media tool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
software provider.
And
Yeah,
okay, yeah. Software provider. Okay, that's fine. That's more specific. That's fine. Central search intent, what we have okay discussed that was the central search intent. Okay. So what would be the next step? You wanna start your research now?
yes. A lot of research, right? Through many different concepts, like starting from I cannot probably name it. I need to look at my SOPs that I'm still building out. But yeah, starting from the most used predicates, but also attributes and other related entities for that central entity, gathering them all like you did in your topical map video, right? Going to Wikipedia, starting to plot out all the entities that are relevant, going to Wikidata, going to Google search, going to many other places to find out what is relevant and really building out this map of related things. I think that is probably, yeah, probably the most time-consuming and confusing part of a topical map. But it could be confusing, especially at the beginning. But the more you do it, the more you'll be able to connect the dots. And so research definitely is next. Of course, there are many tools like ChatGPT, of course, is your helper. And there are different prompts where you could ask it to build a model intelligent taxonomy to help you out, or extract main knowledge domain terms, for example, from a specific knowledge domain. So there are many ways to do it, but research is basically the next step.
Mhm. So basically, you're saying that having before starting, get some domain knowledge first.
Yeah.
The business model, I mean, it's not like only writing the source context on the sheet on the paper is necessary, but reading about the whole knowledge domain, whole service, whole concept that you're gonna discuss
Yes.
in topic. And first, you learn about that yourself instead of start writing and researching the topic. So for example, you maybe open up couple of Wikipedia pages. Maybe you can get all the categories Wikipedia pages like social media management, social media services, and everything, the entities, the prominent entities which are mentioned or written by Wikipedia. Just take one day and read everything down there on Wikipedia, the top. And also maybe you can maybe find some top authoritative sources in that particular knowledge domain, like five ones. Those shouldn't be like have some business model. They are just providing information. I think this should be good if you find those kind of, like, if you're finding a website who's, for example, selling a tool and they are writing information, they're gonna not cover each and everything on social media. They just cover what they're selling. So it's good to find a website that is not selling anything. They're just like WordStream probably, or sites like, for example, HubSpot probably sometimes is more authoritative site, because HubSpot has like a lot of thousands of pages on social media. Sorry, not on just blog, but maybe social media they have like 200 pages, maybe. That good idea. So it's good to have like some top five authoritative sources on the plate, plus having some authoritative guides on social media from Wikipedia, or and maybe you can hop to some research papers as well, like social media history. You can read some book as well. You can hop to Google Scholar and read a book on social media. Take your 2 days, read a book complete. So now you are a social media expert, okay, and now you have to think from user's point of view. Okay, I'm stopping here, you should continue from here. How to think from user point of view.
Again, going back to your source context and central search intent, finding out what is the target user of your solution, of your
Yeah.
SaaS, what does the user want to do, and start mapping out your topics with all the knowledge. Maybe starting out with the core section of topical map, adding basically the main attribute of related to your product, social media management software or social media management tool. That would be your main attribute. And then covering the whole query network related to that attribute, right? There could be this software for this industry, for that industry, for that type of business, for agencies, for small businesses, for many other things in different shapes
Hmm.
and sizes. And then mapping out the outer section of topical map uh, with all the minor attributes that are still relevant to your target audience, but perhaps less relevant to your solution that you're selling, for historical data, for topical consolidation. Yeah, so we skipped this basically research part, which is probably the most complex one and probably the most extensive one, to the next steps. So yeah, maybe let me know if you want to go back to the research part. But considering that you're an expert in your topic now, I think the next step would be after that to understand what does the user actually want to do, and then mapping out the core and outer section of the topical map.
Great. I really loved your approach here. I would say having a buyer persona, researching your buyer personas,
Good
ICPs,
point.
ideal customer profiles, is always good.
Yeah.
So buyer persona is basically thinking or putting yourself in your potential buyer's shoes. Adding anything, the psychographics, the demographics, where he lives, what he do, what his job, what he earns, what tool he use, where he's mostly active, what his top challenges, and what are the hobbies, for example. Once you understand your buyer persona, maybe list down on sheets on for your ease. You can use a template online as well. The buyer persona is something that will help you throughout the journey while researching topic to connect everything, or maybe writing or or specifically in microsemantics, you can connect everything with your buyer persona or your ICPs. So I would say having some ICPs and buyer persona is necessary, and then for researching the topics, because not you're gonna research everything around your buyer persona. I mean, for your buyer persona, you're gonna research multiple buyer personas as well and connect them together, having some overlap, like the topical borders concept, which introduced by Koray. Two topics, how they separate. There's a specific border between them. So, I mean, you have to research now. It's time to research, or you can say gather everything on social media, because then you will drill down further, like, okay, this is necessary, and this is necessary based on this. Okay, this is necessary. Okay, this is relevant, but maybe not much relevant. So maybe you can assign the relevancy score for each topic based on your source context. I mean, first research everything. Research everything. Research means context or concepts, anything, or even in the form of questions. I would say, uh, if you put your seed query on Google, first of all, search suggestion, top sub tabs, the images in images section, the images tabs, the top competitors, read them manually and get information extracted by yourself. Okay, these are the common entities they are using. These are the common attributes. These are the common contexts. So maybe you can find a tool better to have everything extracted for you. And once you start doing that, then maybe you can work on the next thing. So, by the way, what methods, governments you use to research the context or concepts around a
Uh,
specific outcome?
yeah. I usually just use ChatGPT, and with specific prompts, I really prompt it to understand the most used nouns, predicates, attributes, contexts, right, and relationships within that topic, and really try to chat with ChatGPT to truly understand. So how are all these things connected, and to sort of like truly understand it. But I see it as like, for example, once we discussed and understood the main three parts within this research phase, you'd really have to understand it fully and gather all the important words to then you would take and search within your favorite keyword research tool to make it more efficient. So in this research phase, you really just need to fully understand the topic. And I will not mention all the scientific terms, but yeah, all the important terms basically that are connecting one thing to another, in what order, and so on. Once you have all this knowledge, you can go to your href SEMrush and then plug those words in using filters or whatever and gather all the necessary data for the further steps.
Amazing. I think it's always good to finalize some outcomes first, as you mentioned probably. Like, you see, okay, this is the knowledge domain, or this is the main niche, or whatever name you you can call it. It's your choice.
Mhm.
There are some specific outcomes, I mean, the people are searching for. Like, in social media, there are outcomes like social media tool is an outcome, social media service is an outcome someone looking for, social media strategy is an outcome. What you have to do now, you have to first gather all the outcomes in one place, and those outcomes should be related with your source context. For example,
Yes.
if you're offering, for example, social media, I mean, uh, 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 social media laws, we can say that, or social media
The
probably.
digital acts and templates and posts and yeah, strategies, types and services and softwares and best
Social media
practices and
experts, something like that.
experts, consultants, freelancers, whatever. Yeah,
Consultant as well. Because if you are not, for example, you're just selling your tool, start, I mean, you just create a page, one page on experts, not cover every expert or top 50 experts individually on your, as a separate document. So I think you should prioritize. Now this time you prioritize what outcomes you have to go deep and what outcomes you have to cover as a, as a separate page, or maybe some, whatever they have relevant attributes. Next step, which is that. So for the all the outcomes you research, and there are different ways to research. Go to competitors, go to Google search. Google search is, I guess, the one of the most comprehensive and easy to use and free tool. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
no one could ever compete with Google search.
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
gold mine. Okay.
It's
By the way, one tool I use most oftenly, which is SEO. Mhm.
Stack, full stack.
SEO stack, SEO stack, SEO stack.
I think it got deprecated recently. At least I cannot find it.
I'm still using it somehow.
You're using it. Okay, but I think there is also alternative that basically does the same thing. I think it's
Which one is alternative?
I think at least the one that works.
Okay.
Let's see. I think I noted it down somewhere. It was. It was a SEO search keyword tool Chrome extension. So
Hmm.
SEO search keyword tool. That's how it's renamed.
Okay.
The interface is exactly the same as SEO
SEO
stack.
stack.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
basically allows you to do autocomplete search on like
Any
eight,
search engine.
nine search engines. Yeah, and then
Amazing.
adding questions, modifiers, wildcards, and whatnot. So yeah. Also, maybe I overemphasize that I'm only using ChatGPT, but now using it more for like augmenting the topic and understanding it better. But of course, you're totally right that going to Google, understanding, okay, here's a knowledge panel. What are the main things that are actually relevant to that um, topic or concept that you're researching? What are the PAAs and related searches? You go deeper, you uncover even more and even more related things, right? Same like Wikipedia and Wikidata is a very good source. It basically shows you the
Yeah.
whole taxonomy of that topic. So
Hmm.
all of them should be used. It's not like there's just one and it's not just Ahrefs or SEMrush and you're done. It's a combination of tools and true understanding of the topic.
I think it would be good to maybe create a tool like that. Like, for example, you just give a topic, it extract data. Data means context, right? From all of these platforms, Wikipedias, you just give the Wikipedia URLs, like, okay, these 10 URLs, you just go through, get all the entities out of them, you get all their
Hmm.
associated attributes, EA pairs, entity attribute pairs, all the common, you can say, outcomes, some context. And you can also do same with the competing pages, like, okay, these 20 pages have, for example, or you can say, okay, these 20 pages are relevant, the guides on social media they have written, for example. I mean, not just one page, you give everything to that tool, and that tool automatically extract the context for you, or the information points, or the concepts for you. That would be necessary, but I would say, if you do everything manually, then you also learn about that at the same time. So I would say tools are always, yeah, time saving, but not, let's say, qualities always comes with, I mean, what I say normally to people who are associated with semantic SEO or wanted to learn semantic SEO, I mean, I always say it's not about using any tool, software, or training, something like that. It's about training your brain, training your
Yeah,
mind to perform a specific action or outcome for a specific. So if you are like spending time on training your mind. Basically, every time you do things manually, you're gonna do it better next time. So instead of relying on tools like, yeah, ChatGPT is good, but just for one portion.
Yeah,
Not if you say, okay, give me all the context of social media. There are like 200 context, and you just say, okay, these 200 context. Now I need to check on href, which has volume, and like 100 has volume. You
stop it. Who does that? It's more like, like once you ask it, you will get an output, and then that output will help you learn better about that topic, so that you could train your brain with it looks at faster
exactly.
pace
Training brain
instead
is
of
necessary.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's not. I'm not saying go to ChatGPT, ask it, and then copy
No, no,
paste.
no. I'm not. I was saying in general, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
if people who's assuming that ChatGPT does everything, so for those people, actually, it was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. But yeah, it's. I think we need like a lecture. Like the podcast will not do it justice to explain on how to make a topical map. It requires step by step thinking and many, many,
Not
many
one
concepts.
lecture,
No,
not
it's
one lecture, whole
that's why like
month.
now discussing it, we can run through the main stages, but to actually know how to do it, I mean, there must be a list of things you have to take into consideration.
I'm trying to create a roadmap for topical map once again. Like, okay, get this thing ready and get this thing from that place, then come here,
Yeah,
then extract. Very specific as well and very comprehensive.
yeah, yeah.
But I think I need at least 1 month to create that roadmap. And I won't get that very soon.
No, no, no. It's realistic.
Let's maybe we
It's not
can
as simple
create a
as
roadmap together, maybe or maybe with the help of, I mean, we create a roadmap first and share to Koray, okay, or share in the community that
yeah,
anyone would is like welcome to open to add their
yeah.
suggestion in the roadmap.
I'm
So
actually working on that, so definitely we could chat as well or make something together. But basically, but I mean, definitely it will require some kind of feedback from yeah, Koray or one of his close students.
yeah, nice. Okay, so once we have outcomes, what is the next step?
Let's see, should we jump to core section, outer section, and then next steps? I think we briefly covered the core and outer section. That like once you have the outcomes, maybe you should distribute them. Which outcome belongs to where, right? In the core or outer section, how they're going to
Yeah,
be ordered, and so on. So I think that is the next really kind of like on high level putting them where those core sections, how they're going to be grouped, and where they're going to be placed in topical map.
very
Uh,
amazing step. I've never know about this. Like you can, I was thinking that okay, once you get all the context and topics, then you do core and outer. So basically, you mentioned a very good thing before doing further research. Divide your outcomes into core and outer, which always time saving in the future.
Yeah, yeah.
Again,
Try to think of like in my topical map that I showed you, I saw very, very clear like four portions of the whole website, and then I knew which portion belongs where after doing all the research, and then I put them in, and then went deeper into, let's say, traditional keyword research to get all the possible queries.
nice. And when it comes to queries, there is a field query semantics called. Okay,
Hmm.
and by the way, people are confused what actually query semantics is. You're just dealing with queries and you can get those queries from hrefs. I mean, or you can maybe use Google search as well, like Google search suggestion, everything Google related searches people also ask. You can say that okay, these queries someone searching, and that's where Google has put them in people also ask part or in related searches. You can relate that with Google as well. But having all the data in terms of from Google search, from YouTube search, from Bing search, from href is not necessary. How do you analyze that data? I mean, I know that's a very subjective thing, but is there any practical tip that okay, you just maybe helping getting queries. You can say what I normally do. I mean, before coming to you, sorry, I normally do like I get the seed query, seed
Hmm.
outcome, and then I expand it in the form of like query templates. X for Y and outcome is, for example, X and Y is something what Google suggests. I will do that. And this is how maybe I expand the seed query. What about you?
So going back to the query semantics, as per definition, it's not necessarily strings of words. It's all about user behavior, right? And what is yeah, their perception of that specific query. It might not be specifically like a match to your central entity that you have chosen, but it would be mean the same thing, even though it would be written in a different way. So again, it comes down to the research, like finding all the most important nouns. Uh, Without that, yeah, it would be hard to then expand upon them. Once you know them, then of course you can use the autocomplete. Think of the different perspectives that the users might have, and then try to, let's say, find those patterns, query patterns, like you mentioned. Uh, yeah. Uh, what was the question again?
Question is like how to, I mean, you get data, everything, you getting data from href, Google, how to process that queries further, like creating top query templates, like associating, like doing canonical queries. Okay, these five queries coming together, which means need to be clustered together. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
anything because people know how to get data at this point. People know how getting data from href, from bing search, from youtube search, from google search, from chat gpt, from wikipedia, from competitors. Everywhere there's data, but they don't know what to do next with the data.
If you are very sure in terms of if you don't need to expand it further, or uh, if you at least understand the broad categories and where to put them in your core section, the next step would be just to cluster them to understand how many pages you need to create, which queries belong into under which page. Say that would be the logical next step. Uh, is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. And how do you like then prioritize? I mean, is this like just query semantics covered, or is there in anything like getting data from Google search and just process the data, like creating query templates
Of
and
course, there's
do
also
others?
like within your graphic, you mentioned the lexical semantics, going through the different concepts of uh, yeah, uh, like hypernames, meronyms, and many others, and understanding how your central entity could be, let's say, uh, yeah, uncovering all the possible. Help me out. I don't know how to connect it to the audience. Understanding the additional these query concepts that you could then research and uncover even more related queries to your central entity. Like, let's see, I had a checklist somewhere here. Just being aware of, yeah, different other, let's say, word relations, and besides just query patterns and that exact matches to your central entity, you should figure out what are the acronyms, what are the antonyms, what are the uh, capital names, demonyms, and so on, and expand upon your query network even further and further. And then another step after that would be seeing what your competitors doing, scraping all their sitemaps, and again researching. But again, I think we are going back to this research phase, which deserves even more attention that what we gave it. Uh, yeah,
Mhm. And by the way, there are more concepts apart from
many more.
lexical. like homonym, hyponym, polysim, meronym. Some more like demonym, eponym, troponym,
I think I might
capitonym,
have like 17 of them that I go through.
metonym, acronym. Maybe you can share with the audience as well if you want.
I would give it a few more weeks, then we could attach it to this video. I'd like to make it understandable.
And
But
I'm thinking, yeah, maybe we can after at the end of this call, maybe we can discuss some practical tips or advice, and we can give some advice to the audience, like how and where to learn semantic SEO, because people still, still people using one Germany example over and over again. Germany
visa,
visa is
yeah,
the
it's a simple example to understand, right? And luckily, it wasn't that big of a topical map. But yeah, and not all the concepts were mentioned in that case study, of course. So it's a huge
Hmm,
field that requires a lot of study.
exactly. So okay, now we have all the data in place and some lexical relations as well, the scientific names or any diction according to dictionaries, the topics, and according to user behavior, we have all the topics ready. So now it's time to filter those topics, and we have, for example, 50,000 topics in place. I had like 60,000 topics at one time in one of my topical maps, and from 60,000 working on them, processing on them, I got to like 5,000.
Yeah, all manually.
Formulas, a lot of exclusion,
Yeah,
text don't contain, text contains, and
oh,
it was never easy. It was not easy.
that's crazy. Uh,
So okay, yeah.
Trying to comprehend that.
Yeah, that's why now I'm happy that I've done that manually, and now
Yeah,
I can. It's now on my fingertips what I did. So
exactly. Yeah.
thousand of filters I've applied at that time.
I actually one more thing I wanted to add here when it comes to like finding those queries, right? If you have a very kind of like structured topical map where it strictly follows ontology taxonomy, if you can find a database, it will help you tremendously. Like let's say if you are uh, what could be a good database example? Well, let's say you're covering, I don't know, birds. If you can find a database on all different types of birds or whatever, it could help you a lot to really complete topical map at a much faster pace. I think,
Exactly.
yeah, if you can find that, then do it. There are many datasets like Kaggle, I think, and Google dataset search can be helpful to find any dataset on a particular subject. So definitely, I would suggest giving that a go as well. Basically, what we are trying to find, right, is all the most important queries and then connect them to one another. But if you can already find a database that is connecting all those queries for you, then you have saved a lot of time.
Yeah, amazing. That would save a lot of time, by the way. Having all data already organized and clustered, for example, and taxonomy according to their taxonomy.
Yeah,
I think that's more good option, but not everyone get to that. So maybe some pages like authoritative sources. I mean, like Wikipedia again. I mean, you can extract all things from that platform, and maybe you can use, if you are like doing it for free, you can maybe use 5 or 6 platforms and then merge them together and remove duplicates. But time is always, it's like effort. uh, it would require effort
yeah, yeah.
at the end of the day.
And
So
also, I can share for my own project. I also found a database, but I then still I'm cleaning it up. Like a 15% or so is not really correct. So I need to manually go through each row and still do it. But it saves time and then and gives you very clear perspective of on how that particular section of the topical map should look like.
Mhm, mhm. Okay.
But
So yeah.
next, after we have, let's say, figured out uh, what is the main attribute that we're going to cover in the core section, right? And all the topics related to that. And outer section, it could, yeah, go through many minor attributes and related queries there. The next step is, of course, I like to take the traditional SEO approach of this step and just clustering the queries and then really being sure on how many pages I would need. But then, of course, there are a few ifs. Uh, Maybe you could help me answer when does it when is it important to open up a new page, and when is it important? When is it enough to for a topic, or where is it enough to mention that topic within an existing page? If let's say we have two completely different indexes for that topic when you search on Google,
Hmm.
I cannot figure it out myself.
Very.
You know, the Koray is sometimes you need to cover a topic on a page, sometimes you need to open up a new page. But what if it already has two different search indexes for each of the like different indexes for each of the topics? That's again where you have to look at the things like what is your budget and what is your actual source context and how close it is that supplementary
Hmm.
topic.
Okay. I have a good answer, by the way.
You have a good
First of
answer?
all,
Yes.
maybe it would help someone. The thing is, for Google, for machine, more pages are not good. You have you try to create less pages as much as you can, as much as you could, but providing more context or more context vectors connecting with each other in a more meaningful way so machine can understand easily. And also, if you're adding a new page on your site, you are actually diluting your page rank. You think from that perspective as well, not just from topical coverage and ranking perspective, but also think that your page rank gonna dilute as well. So page rank, information retrieval, and third is backlinks. These three are pillars of SEO: information retrieval, page rank, and backlinks. Okay. Now, if I can see, definitely SERP will have all the answers of this question. If I find at least one or two page ranking on both topics, which means Google is ranking that page on both topics. Why Google will not choose you? You can also be the same. Another example. So I always prefer to, instead of creating two different pages, I always prefer to create one page if there is one or two example already ranking on both topics.
Mhm. Okay, so at least one would be good enough to test,
One
and
would be
then
okay. And even okay, one more thing, by the way. If there's no pages, I mean no one page, but what you thinking, maybe after 10 results, after top 10 results, the second topic SERP starting repeating on the on your query. Like you entered query A and you entered query B. The query A, after query A SERP ends top 10, the query B is starting here after query A,
Mhm.
which means these can be merged together, but no one ever did. So you should maybe do a test. You can create a page. What about that? So, or maybe if you have an old site, you can log into your search console. You can see if one page is getting both topics impressions or maybe good impressions, substantial, you can also do a test as well. Or maybe, which means one page getting two different topics impression, which means those two topics are Google is uh, clustering those two topics with your one document. So
Yeah.
in that case, you should do test, I would say. But if you have one example on SERP, then definitely you should create one page covering both angles.
Yeah, yeah. I usually follow the yeah. If there are at least sub similarity of three, then of course it is good enough to cluster those queries together. But yeah,
And
it
one more thing, sorry, and one more
yeah.
thing. For example, if you getting outcome like office, like co-working space is your like topic, and sorry, is your, you can say, an outcome co-working space, and there are topics like co-working space pros, co-working space cons, co-working space benefits, co-working space advantages. So let's suppose, I'm giving a very tough example, by the way, very interesting as well. For example, if you search on Google co-working space benefits, all the pages are talking about benefits. But if you search on Google co-working space pros, there are pages who are ranking discuss both pros and cons. They are ranking on pros,
Mhm.
and if you search co-working space cons, same page talking about pros and cons ranking. I mean, benefits is obviously the more important attribute as compared to pros and cons. So if you create co-working space benefits, then you cannot create a page on co-working space pros and cons, because pros and benefits are same.
Yeah, that
So
makes sense to cover them together in that one page.
so will you ignore co-working space benefits and you will go for co-working space pros and cons?
I'll go with benefits and then cover the pros and cons as well on that one page.
And but in benefits, no one has covered pros and cons. I mean, not cons. Specifically, cons are not discussed in the pages who are ranking on benefits. So how would you address? Because if someone search for co-working space cons, which page you will rank? Because you cannot rank, you cannot write only on co-working space cons. You must have to write pros and cons together. But
Hmm.
pros are already benefits.
Yeah, yeah. I think I had a similar example recently. I researched, and my decision was to cover cons part in the supplementary content area. What is your
Yeah, go
approach?
ahead.
What is your approach with that? I will
I
actually.
would do another thing. I would create a page for benefits, because benefits is a more searched attributes.
Yes.
And for specifically cons, like someone searching for co-working space cons, I will create another page, co-working space disadvantages, only for that cons coverage.
Okay. And in the benefits page, you would also mention the disadvantages at the bottom of the, and then linking
No,
to.
no,
No?
only benefits. No. Maybe I can add a question in a supplementary content. Okay, these are the benefit on top, but what are the disadvantages of co-working spaces? Then I will create a contextual bridge with my page talking about only disadvantages of co-working space.
Yeah,
And again,
that makes sense. Yeah.
cons, if someone's searching for cons, disadvantages are maybe being more searched than cons. Or maybe you can create a page on co-working space disadvantages, and Google, instead of cons, Google rank you on top because you did something very different from anyone else. You created
Yeah,
a
yeah.
disadvantages
It's
attributes.
yeah, but it is the same meaning, and I think it will be. Yeah, it's kind of like what you're doing is bending the meaning slightly, and then kind of justifying the reason why you would create that page.
And one more problem I've seen, people only see the SERP angle and they revolve around that. They do not think out of the box. What about if you, like, I've seen an example, very, you will love it, by the way. I've seen pages creating different pages for. I've seen website creating different pages for email marketing KPIs, email marketing goals, email marketing objectives, and email marketing metrics, for example. And I've seen one page who has covered all of them together: email marketing objectives,
Uh-huh.
KPIs, and that page was ranking everywhere, almost everywhere,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and getting tons of traffic. So he thought out of the box, and that's where Google is rewarding them. So again, that's what we say in topical authority, instead of creating 5 different pages, you should create one page to save the cost of machine,
of
plus
course. Yeah,
to increase your page rank as well, or you can say save your page rank as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's a tough decision to make, right? Whenever you're, of course, if you follow that rule of always create stronger pages, fewer pages, that's the right way. But yeah, sometimes when
I I
that's the gray
always love
zone.
to I always love to manipulate or test serve with my, you can
Yeah,
say,
is it?
tweaks.
Yeah, is it always where you found out that okay, meaning is the same, right? So like goals, objectives, and KPIs. Is it always that you were going with creating comprehensive page that covers all of those, or did you also test out with the approach of creating three separate pages?
Sorry, you saying that? Sorry, what's your question?
You said you like to test, and this is a very good example that you gave. Do you have tested, let's say, with this email marketing KPIs, for example, goals and objectives in one page compared to three separate pages? Have
No,
you
no,
have
no.
some? But
Uh,
I totally agree that I observed the same very often. And then when you run it through SERP clustering tools, of course, it might show 9 different pages on all those three results or SERPs, but then that one is the same, right? And that goes back to your first rule where you mentioned that if you have different SERPs besides that one result, uh, yeah, then you could still merge them all into one. So yeah, unless you are that one first clever guy that came up with an idea of merging them all into one page.
Actually, sometimes I don't rely on keyword clustering tools. I mean, okay, this said this is based on just 2 pages. They say these two queries
Yeah.
need to be merged together, but there's always chance you can, for example, you can imagine what's funny part here. I mean, I've seen one more example, like email marketing services,
Hmm.
which means tools, someone looking for tools, and another keyword, email marketing software or email marketing tools.
Yeah.
I've seen a guy who's created 2 different pages, on one for email marketing services and talking about the tools, and
Yeah.
another page, email marketing tools, just changing the synonym
Yeah.
and talking about tools, because he said, okay, Google showing different results,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
he's saying
I would
so.
look at the similarity, right? How many of the 10 results, for example, are different? If
Okay, one
it's
more thing, software, tool, platform, services.
that's all
You
the same
create
thing.
one
Yeah.
page, and
Yeah.
in your title tag, write these 4 outcomes together.
Yeah, I see so many the competitors doing that in our software niche. But I would services can mean different things. Like, so services can be consulting services. Services could be like in email marketing example that could be a tool. But with things like system, software, tool, app, platform, solution, those are very much like just software tools.
But
So
Google, but on email marketing services, Google was showing at that time tools. Let me just
yeah,
see.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But again, depending on the topic, right, I can give you some other ideas where service could be actually like a consulting service underlying intent where other service could be just a software. But yeah,
Yeah, so
you're
I've
right.
written email marketing services. Yeah,
Yeah, it shows all the software tools. You're right.
just one website, Thrive Agency, ranking with services page, and rest of the one, all
Mhm.
are tools. So you shouldn't be like creating, or maybe if you are offering services, if your source context is, for example, you are an agency, for example, then you should, for this phrase, email marketing services, you can create a specific listicle, not your commercial page. You create a listicle of best email marketing services from the agencies, or maybe is that relevant, but not. You cannot cover other agencies services, and just for the sake of list creating a listicle, So
Yeah.
I would say leave maybe try to rank your commercial page, email marketing services on this phrase. But this is a chance. You have to be very high authoritative site as well, or topical authoritative site, or page rank. So I would say bunch of other factors. But since you can't rank every page or every on its targeted query, it's not possible. Topical authority aims to just your 10% or 20 pages get the desired outcome in terms of traffic. Rest of one just contribute in ranking those pages. So it doesn't mean that you're creating every page for the sake of ranking. Some are high quality nodes, some are typical node, some are root, some are seeds. Even root sometimes don't rank. Like the Germany Koray written again. I'm saying the same, quoting the same example. Germany was not ranking anywhere else. Like culture
No,
in Germany, everything he mentioned, no one's searching for.
I think he
Probably
only mentioned when the war break down, then there was some if they were ranking for Germany, but that was really the one example. But you're totally right that not all of the pages are ranking, which again
that
raises the
was
question.
just that was just manipulating Google. Like this Germany page is gonna cover every attribute, and those
Yeah,
were
yeah,
actually
could be.
passing context to the further nodes that he has, like on each page on culture, education, population, flag, visa requirement, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and some
Coming,
of the people, that's why they hate semantic SEO. They say that you are creating page just for getting your other page ranked. Why? You are wasting your cost. I say them, okay, if you don't do that, then how would you rank? So they have no answer.
do you have an answer to that to that question?
But sometimes backlinks gonna help. I mean, but not every time.
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
it's like we can test, like if we just create top 10 pages that we need to rank, and okay, top 50 pages around our topic, just the relevant attributes we're going to cover, the more relevant. Instead of creating 500, we just create 50, and we just have some high quality backlinks on those 50 pages. We can maybe try it out, okay, uh, without topical authority, just backlinks gonna help or not. So some
I
people
see.
say it helps, but I would say no. Topical authority is necessary.
It is. It is. You can even empower it more with backlinks, right? But going back to like one clear example with law, going back to the services and software, like if you Google
Uh-huh.
law software and law services, completely different answers results, right? So I think it depends on the underlying meaning of your central entity, whether it is a software or it is actually a service, kind of like in the spectrum of those two things. But yeah, we diverged from our social media management software completely.
Yeah, that's the beauty of having an unplanned conversation.
Exactly. But yeah, coming back to that, let's say we have. Should we continue with that? Right? Finish that off.
Yeah, any, yeah, we can.
I think,
Sure.
of course, once we have figured out the topics, right, and figured out what are the actual topics that you want to create, whether that deserves a page or multiple pages, those set of topics, right, let's say, going for fewer, stronger pages, like we just concluded. Uh, if an example could be if at least one page ranks for both in both SERPs. What is next? Then we start writing title tags. We start creating URL structure. We start writing image alt text, maybe meta descriptions, or maybe let Google decide it, and then momentum is the whole different thing that we should also discuss. Um, I liked your approach for matching nouns and like noun and verb relationships, right? Finding out the most important nouns and verbs. I think that really is not just figuring out the topics, but also for title writing and knowing exactly what nouns, verbs, and attributes also should be mentioned, uh, should be included in your title tags when it comes to uh, yeah, that specific column of the topical map. Do you follow some specific title writing methodologies, or do you kind of like use a combination of SERP research and then seeing what already others do, and then trying to replicate that? Or I would guess you would do some semantic SEO, conceptual research, and then actually pick out the verbs and attributes that actually fit the context the most.
Mhm. So actually, before coming to the title tag writing methodology,
Mhm.
what I use, it's not very hard, but sometimes it becomes hard. Okay. So before that, yeah, the verbs and noun connection or the relationship you mentioned is very important. It's coming from the real life. And one case study I would recommend everyone who's watching this, Verbs of Life. Read this case study on Koray's website and holisticacid.digital, and you will be amazed how things will be simpler for you. Okay, so verbs and nouns are very like important, and every time if you think from that perspective, instead of entity attribute, you think like, okay, this is noun and these are the possible verbs or behaviors. Verb is basically a behavior, noun is basically an outcome someone looking for, and you map multiple behaviors around one outcome. And how you map it according to your users perspective, users search considerations, users behaviors. You then map those behaviors together and connect those with some flow in your content network. Some people say, okay, uh, like in momentum and in prioritization of topic, okay, I'm getting some side going out of the context. So
It's fine.
I will answer your question. So just give me like 2 minutes and I'll come back to it. So I was saying that people like when they like start publishing topical map, they publish like five outcomes, five nouns, and then three nouns. I mean, Google itself confused, like, okay, which outcome they may be mainly focusing on, and they try to cover multiple query templates at the same time. Okay, so we're gonna maybe discuss this on later, like how to publish and what the main criteria behind that, what topics needs to be published first, for example. But noun is something or outcome something you're gonna maybe publish one outcome first, all the behaviors of that outcome in the form of context topics, then you publish second outcome. Or maybe if you have like 500 sorry 500 topics and 100 topics you want to publish first, then you can maybe prioritize five outcomes together, publish them, because you can publish more outcomes as well, but cover one outcome complete as compared to half, then half. Okay, anyways, I'm coming back to the title writing methodology with what I'm using. It's not very lengthy, but I've seen Corey's site. He actually sometimes, to be honest, I've seen he's not following just one. I mean, for example, for listicle, maybe I was discussing with you or with someone.
About the number, right?
Yeah, sometimes he use numbers in listicle, sometimes he
Yeah,
don't.
yeah. You wonder why?
He does. Yeah. So I'm creating, like you can say, maybe. So my goal with title methodology is less focusing on machine, but more focusing on users. Because if you have created best ever content in your page, in your document, but your title tag is not clicking with the user, no one will click on you. And if no one will click on you, you will not get much historical data or qualitative
Yeah.
ranking signals. So ultimately, you will just for one title tag, if that gone wrong, you're gonna maybe get down. So I prioritize question or query semantics from query semantics instead of lexical. I have good example like water intoxication is a scientific term or lexical relation or lexical term
Mm.
of what, which is overhydration or drinking too much water, right? Instead of writing what is water intoxication, benefits, sorry, definition, importance, and treatment, you should do that. Uh, is, for example, drinking too much water a day. Okay, is that bad for you? Or how much water you should drink a day? I mean, you should focus on question instead of the scientific term, because people use easy terms, people use questions. So what I prioritize my users, and how I prioritize that, I look the top search. I try to do something very different, unique, and I see, okay, and if five or four started have used the same format, like for example, why office furniture is important. This is a question,
Hmm.
and the top five pages have covered this question. The top five, everyone. Office furniture is important. The second one, written why office furniture is important, but added some more context, like added brand name, and this question is repeating. So you have to stick with the consensus at this point. You have to follow the same question. Why office furniture is important? Because users are searching. You can't do everything unique here. The next part is in your control. Maybe you can write here why office furniture is important. Maybe you can write benefits, or maybe you can write reasons, or maybe you can write impact, or maybe you can write, for example, just you can prioritize some attributes, because you can't do like both questions coming together, like one question and then the second part would be about the attributes that you're going to discuss in the page. This you're going to decide after you return the page, then you decide what you have discussed and what attributes you have discussed, and those attributes then you put into title tag. Instead of checking the sub, you also check your own page as well, what you were discussing.
Yeah, yeah,
uh, so one more thing, sorry, some more quick hacks, like adding number is always good. uh, Adding some symbol like plus, using odd numbers, some even brackets also help, some even all caps lock also help. And some people try to use the pipeline, I mean the straight vertical line, that actually break the context. You use a colon, because colon defines that, okay, for example, water intoxication, after, and then you put colon, which means you're going to describe it in the title tag. So I would say, but again, fluff is not necessary to add in the title. Like if you add, like for example, cover your ass and XYZ. So just for the sake of a very copywriting point of view, don't do that. But yes, uh, you got what I'm saying. Query
yeah,
semantics first, user perspective first, then sorry, you dedicate your first part to query semantics, then second part to machine. This could be.
yeah. Good answer, and yeah, very good conversion, or not conversion, click-through rate optimization tips there as well, with all the numbers and different symbols. Regarding the water intoxication example, I think one again way of seeing it would be just look at the query network of competitors currently ranking top three, right? Oftentimes in the query network, you would see, for example, if the question is how much water is too much water or whatever, in the query network, you would also see water intoxication, which is the also thing you would have to then mention in the title to make it more different, or compared to all the other ones. I think in that example also that Koray shared, the water intoxication, it was very prominent, that question, right, in the query network. That's why he prioritized that. And then, as you said, according to query semantics, and then within that query network, he also found water intoxication, and also decided to put that into brackets. So in a practical way, query network research, looking at the organic ranking queries of the competitors, also tells you a lot what you should put in your titles. Yeah, we
Yeah,
also
again.
actually skipped popular notes, trending notes. It's impossible to cover topical map steps in one podcast.
Okay, you should explain what are trending notes and historical notes.
Historical notes, I'm not sure I will be able to give a good description of. It is one of the upcoming modules in the course, right? But when it comes to popular trending notes, as Cora mentioned, covering fun entities, right? Uh, in the in the I mean, not just fun entities, but something that is actually trending at the moment. Also, example from Yum, yet another mail merge, was that they covered many AI email marketing topics that were actually currently training to capture that historical data and increase chances of getting into Google Discover and capturing that traffic. In what was it? In the Strike Money example, it was books and podcasts of related to investing. Again,
Yeah,
something
to
that
show
you
up in
like.
Google Discover.
Yes, and we
And
show up in the Google Discover. You will get spike in impressions. You will get increased
historical data
follow
point of
rate,
view.
more historical data. Exactly. So that aspect is also very important to add within your topical map. Something that is trending, something that is popular, something that is fun to read. Uh, and I think like Google Trends, exploring topics, Glimpse, all those tools are quite useful for trying to find whether for your central entity,
Mm.
whether there is any kind of like popular note that you could add to your topical map.
Yeah, I'm using Glimpse, the extension on Google Trends.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. Again, one option is not always good. You should multiple options. So that's, and by the way, thanks for adding a good concept, trending notes. So I really appreciate that.
I just luckily had my list of checkpoints usually going through the topical map, so good it was there. What do we have next? We
Let's.
discussed.
I think it's jumped over 2 hours, and I'm not sure. Uh, things gonna never end. I mean,
Let's never
what
end
do
this
you say?
podcast. You're right. It
You
is.
want part two, or you want 10 hours for this podcast?
I think what we need is a structured and organized kind of like guide on how, let's say, build a topical map or make a content brief. Because we bounce kind of like, which is the beauty of the podcast, right? Sharing our insights and our experiences and debating. But we jumped quite a bit from topic to topic. But it should be described in a more straightforward way, following the contextual flow, straight line. You know how it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good conversation. By the way, topical map, I mean, it's never ended. I mean, there's a lot more things like query templates. There's a lot of things, and by the way, some scores I have assigned to to my topics. Like on my normal Google sheet, what I do, column A, it has like the attributes. Or in simple word, you can maybe create column A with the outcomes, then column B with that outcomes attributes, then column C with that attributes context, then column D with the popularity, column E prominence, column F relevance, and then column F after F G for title, H for description, I for slug, J for image alt tag. Sorry, before all you write image file names. So
Hmm.
J image
Yeah.
file name, H J K K image alt names, alt tags, and K K M. After K, what comes? M
I
L
have
L L.
yes. And
K
then
L
and then we
L.
have the publication date, right?
Oh yeah, this was I was going to mention and publication date. So this is the. So again, we just discuss about topics, just one column.
Just local. We have 20 more episodes to go, guys.
This was just a trailer, guys who's
It's
watching.
teaser.
This is just a trailer. This gonna be a, a Stranger Things, something like that season. Maybe we can upload this podcast series on Netflix. What about that?
We should think about the source context of that series then. How exactly are we gonna approach it from a business perspective? But it would be well worth uploading to something like a streaming platform instead of just YouTube
Hmm.
videos. But yeah, it was a
Yeah.
lengthy one, and yeah, what's covered a lot.
Okay, so let's conclude this. And first, last question and concluding question. What's next? I mean, in terms of, I mean, beginners. I'm targeting beginners always who are facing hard times learning these concepts and implementing those concepts. What roadmap they can follow to learn semantic SEO? What do you suggest? Because you have gone through the same problems and you have figured out some pathways, you figured out some roadmaps. I
Yeah.
also did, but what you say first?
First of all, I'm still learning. I can probably relate to many of the people listening. But the first thing was, if you have a chance, go through the course, go through it one more time, and probably a few more times after that, to truly understand what is being kind of like discussed. And I'm sure that every time you go through the course, you will uncover many, many more things that you did not know before. You will uncover uh, what do things actually mean, and start to listen to every, because like the funny thing what happens is your brain understands different thing, like the same things in a different way after a while, after you have processed them once or multiple times. And then in every single sentence that Koray says, you will probably hear something new and understand that thing in a different way. So probably there will be many aha moments, but after having gone through the course, reading case studies will become much more easier. So I would suggest going through all the case studies, all the video case studies, and then transitioning into Bill Slawski's articles, and also maybe some of the most used Google patterns. Also, alongside that, learning each and every of these semantic and linguistic principles. That would be the top level. That would be the highest level. So, kind of following that roadmap, but also I really loved your roadmap that you shared how you learned it. I'm also taking some inspiration from that. But yeah, it's not easy. It will require a lot of work. Like I mentioned in my testimonial, that after it took me like 2 weeks to go through the course for the first time, I had more than 100 pages by going through the first time, and then I continued going through it again and again and again, learning more and more and more. So I don't want to promise. Of course, it's not easy. I mean, you can probably say the same, that it requires a lot of work, and as long as you stick with it, you'll see the benefits, right?
And the roadmap you mentioned, how much time it requires for a new person, like for a IT guy, a guy who knows SEO's ABC or 1 year,
Mhm.
2 years experience in SEO. How much time you think he needs to spend on learning semantic SEO? I mean, like 1 year, 2 year
Yeah,
until he reaches to a certain level to
I
build
think
topical authority state.
like at least 6 months, 6 months to a year of like 3 hours a day learning. Then you will be at a good level to make your topical maps, right? And after implementing, probably seeing success as well.
I
How
would say
many?
2 years.
I'm too optimistic, maybe.
6 months are just for failing.
But do you think in 6 months of like 3 hours a day studying, you can count how much is it?
I mean, for me, you learn when you fail. Okay, like if you create 10 topical maps and every time you were at every time you thinking that okay you were doing that mistake before you in that mistake before. First of all, I'm by mean learning, I'm not saying uh, just uh, what I say, just hard coding the theory in mind.
Hmm.
Like, okay, if I ask you what is orthogonal, you tell me this is the definition. I'm not saying for that. The practical implementation as well.
Of course. Yeah, yeah.
That's the learning I meant basically, because you learn when you fail, and in order to fail, you need to experience. In order to experience, you need time. In order to spend time, you need to prioritize. So basically, it's a long thing. First, you understand the concept. I mean, 3 months are enough to grasp the concepts just for semantic SEO. And Not the closely that Koray shared, like 100, 200. Not, I'm not talking about those. Yes, those are necessary, but the Google patents, concepts, information retrieval, everything, 3 months, linguistics, just the basics of semantic SEO framework, 3 months are enough. Then you start practicing. Okay, now I've learned anything. Now I need to apply on my website, for example. You do everything, and so again, you can say that creating topical map first, then maybe if you have like five different outcomes on your website, and for every outcome you started that you need to create five different topical maps. This is a good way as well. So I think 5 to 6 topical maps, and every time when you create a new topical map, you want to learn something new, and I'm still doing that. You probably agree with me.
Yeah, yeah.
And one thing that never ends, the nightmare, the writing. I mean, being an SEO, I've seen many SEOs, they they try to get out of the writing part every time, because they say that we writing is not something we have to do. It's not coming, we are not accountable for writing, and that's why they fail. Because the writers who gonna work on your topical map, on your briefs, if you are not explaining them with your practical example that this is how you're gonna structure, instead relying on them that they will just read the 200 rules, 300 rules, and they do everything what you said to them. You have to give them practical demonstration, and in order to give them practical demonstration, you first have to learn that yourself, and need to write at least 20, 30 pages on that framework. Then you're going to tell someone, okay, now follow this, and you share your screen and write in front of them. So I mean, writing is a thing that never ends. The learning never ends. The NLPs, the semantics, the syntactical, the semantic, the pragmatic meanings, collocation. I mean, a lot of distributional semantic stuff connected with machine, connected with linguistics, connected with source context, how to convert user, connected with storytelling, connected with engineering, engaging. You have to create a balance of everything together, not just focusing on one aspect like machine, like conversion, like anything. The balance is something you have to learn, and you master the balance when you do every once you do things multiple times. Okay, my explanation always go harder and longer, so I'm sorry for
But I
that.
love it. It covers more things that you would not think about. But definitely, yeah, you have to write as well. I'm also writing on my own personal projects. I remember when I mentioned that to you, you
Oh,
were
you mentioned that. I
surprised.
was shocked that yeah, I was surprised.
But I mean, I don't do it word by word myself. I do it assisted way. But
I do word by word.
okay, then I'm. I
but
don't know.
but I don't do word, but I do character by character or space by space, full stop by full stop.
I ask AI to write a section or a sentence, and then I go in and optimize it according to the rules. That's how I like to write. It's it's
And how
it's
much
it's
time
faster
it's
that way.
taking for you to write content for one piece?
Again, I'm currently working in Topical map and writing content for it in the topic that I have quite a good
Mhm.
knowledge of. For the last 5 years, I have been doing this thing, right? And I have good understanding. So it takes me about, uh, again, we did not cover content brief templates, another big aspect of Topical map. For example, if I have a set of pages that follow a certain content brief template, it might take me 2 hours to write a page of like 2000 words, right? According to the rules and so on. But again, I have a predefined content brief template. I know what sections I will have. I just change few variables and then I write the content with AI and then correct it myself according to the rules. But if the topic is completely new, like not completely new for me, but let's say it's one of these standalone articles that doesn't follow a specific content brief template, but content brief, of course, then it might take maybe 4 to 6 hours. Still faster with AI than doing it completely manually. I think that's just age we are now that everybody like, almost uses some level of AI when writing, whether that is improving grammar or whatever, or just getting the base on paper.
And how do you check the content quality? Is like the rules you followed, the grammars, etc. Do you use any software or any specific content, you can say, review process you have?
Yeah, I prompt it heavily. Like, I mean, sentence by sentence, I ask, write me this in that way, starting with this word and then following up with these words, mention these words, and so on. That's just for one section. So basically, my prompt is sometimes longer than the output. Uh, but then I usually use like very traditional tools. Like just sometimes I like to run it through a TF-IDF analysis, through like Surfer, Neuron Writer, you name it. You can just use some of those tools. But that is only for the checking for these more classical algorithms. And then I recently discovered text focus. I It has some semantic scores as well there, so I like to use that for uncovering. Uh, I recently discovered it, watched some demos, and yeah, text focus is something I would like to explore a little bit more. It Yeah, that one is a little bit closer to semantics than any of the other SEO on-page optimization tools. But that is literally
Amazing.
just like the last bit. The 95% is done by writing, prompting, researching, making the content brief, and actually manually editing it.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. So I mean, as an SEO, you are handling multiple facets or aspects, not just creating topical map, but all around writing. And you are your editor, you are your reviewer, you are writer, you are SEO, you are engineer, developer.
No,
So
no,
this
no,
is how
not
I
not
guess.
not engineer, not developer. But I mean, like you said, you have to know how to write as well if you want to teach somebody how to write according to your rules, or not your rules, but maybe the rules that you're giving, because those are rules, of course, are we are taking from Koray, but then we are passing it on to others. But it is good to have an example of how it should be than just giving.
Nice.
But yeah, but I mean, again, I just want to maybe send a message that yeah, everybody can do that. I consider myself always learning and kind of like far from being done with learning or far from being an expert. But if you put time and effort into something, then and stick with it, you can do it. And
Amazing, amazing.
you're a good example, right? How you switched to semantic SEO and how you started systematizing many things. And now look at you. You have a good following and people learning from you. So, and it took really, let's say, how many? 4 years of very dedicated semantic SEO studying.
And my whole family is into it, so a lot of compound effect and a lot of
Yeah,
cross learnings as well.
of course.
We have like whiteboards installed everywhere, lot of
It's the unfair
roadmaps on
advantage.
Miro. My father used to create uh, roadmaps on Miro, and he still will be back soon. He's just busy somewhere on some another project,
Yeah,
some family commitment, and he'll be back with a bang. And what he do, like he create a roadmap and based on his own website, what he did, and he explained and connect everything with Koray's methodologies. He used to say
that's
that
amazing.
like he started writing content. I mean, in 2019 he created a website, and after 2 years, he like got like 40,000 traffic visitors per month from Google. And I and my brother introduced Koray to my father. That okay, I said, okay, father, there is a person. What you talk about, he also used to talk about same things like topical authority, not just focusing on volume, focus on everything that user could have in mind, and
Yeah,
maybe not have volume. My father actually read him and he thought, okay, exactly, the the whole concepts. I mean, not the technical ones, but yes, the overall methodology he has same that what he was my father was applying on his side already. And that's why my father again now started learning his Koray, and he started creating his visualization roadmaps based on his understanding. And I think that's how you do things your own way. So I think that's why I learned so quick. And it's not, I mean, for people like I create topical map, create one or video I've created. It's not like I've been 7 or 8 months hard work behind that video, and probably I can create 20 hours more videos, 30 hours. I can speak for 1 month even on topical maps. A lot of just
It's,
not getting the time.
yeah, yeah,
But
exactly.
but I really appreciate. I mean, you're doing well as well, and maybe in the future we can diverse this discussion to maybe writing some briefs, maybe 3, 4 more parts on topical map. Or man, sky is the limit.
Exactly. Maybe for the future, yeah, we could also really prepare for some agendas, more structured, kind of like steps. I would say, right? It's also to just in every sentence give directions and practical stuff, right? But then
Amazing, man.
again,
So I guess we are done, and I'm not, by the way, happy to leave, but I have to leave because uh, I have to do breakfast. Sorry, not. I have to do dinner. My family is waiting at home.
of course, of
Lot of
course.
things planned in front of me, and some guys are waiting outside me. They're waiting for me, and I would say let's continue from where we left today. And it's amazing. And by the way, it's just like the span of like 2 hours we have completed, and I've never thought that okay, just 10 minutes we sit and 2 hours completed, which means we are
That's
enjoying this
nice. Yeah,
discussion.
absolutely. I really appreciate you having me. I hope it is valuable for the audience, but otherwise, definitely, there's a lot more to come, right?
Again. So thank you for your time, your kind time, Gurmans, and
Of course.
this is something we are doing for the community. We are definitely will get benefit in return because we are doing it for free. We are like giving our hours for free, and definitely we do consultancy and we charge. And now everything is we are explaining for free. So definitely we're gonna get something in return. So and by the nature, not by the from the people.
Yeah, awesome. It was very nice talking to you. Enjoy the conversation.
So all right, all right. So let's do it again and have a good day.
Thank you. You too. Enjoy your weekend.
All right, all right.